In this Multiversus video, we're going to go over the best perks used with Morty in Multiverses. So here we are in the main menu here. I'm going to select Collection, and then I'm going to select Morty from the fighters here. You can see that you can equip 3 lower level perks, and you can equip 1 signature perk in this section here. Let's go into the train perks menu to show you what's available. You can see that you have Morty's known perks. These are the perks that you have already trained with Morty. Then you have the unlocked perks from other characters. These are the perks that you've unlocked when using other characters in Multiverses. Then you have all other perks. You can train all other perks for a cost, and you can see this one's going to cost me 150 gold. And you can train any of your perks unlocked from other characters, and you can see that Slippery When Faint is going to cost me 100 gold. If we move over to the defense section, you will see this is also the same for the defense and utility section. And then you have the all perks. These are all the lower level perks. Now let's start with the offense section. Let's talk about the best perk to use with Morty in Multiverses. You can see that we have already begun to train perks available with Morty, but keep in mind that when you're following along, these are the ones that you're most likely going to have unlocked for Morty in Multiverses. Now from this section here, I have a few perks that I would say are the best perks to use with Morty in Multiverses. Although you use a lot of projectile attacks, these projectile attacks aren't really for knockbacking your enemy, unless you're using your grenade. There is also a passive ability that I'd like to talk about so that you have an understanding on why we're selecting the perks that we're about to select. If you move down to the bottom here, you can see there is a passive ability. It's currently disabled at the time of me making this video because there was an issue with it, so they have disabled this ability. But when the ability is back in Multiverses, when you give a grenade to your ally, they will receive grey health, and they will throw the grenade in the direction of their next attack. Cooldown also applies to giving allies this grenade. So when you give your allies this grenade, there is a cooldown that would apply to the ability of the grenade, but there is also a grey health that is given to your ally. Grey health, I've mentioned this before in other perk videos, but you may not have watched those out. Don't forget to check those in the Multiversus playlist. But grey health is going to give you an extra defense to your attack numbers. When you have high damage numbers, you have an increased knockback. Now Morty has a hammer, which is absolutely great. It's an end of a basic combo attack. When you're pressing forward and the light attack, you are creating a combo, and at the end of this combo, Morty will use a hammer that has a horizontal knockback, which is the reason why I say that the best perk to use with Morty in the offense section is the percussive punch power, so that you can use this combo accordingly. But with that said, there is a runner-up, and it's very important, so stay tuned to the end of the video so you understand why I'm selecting these perks here, because we have a signature perk that we do consider. There is the Painted Target. Your team deals 5% increased damage when hitting an enemy that's in hit stun, 10% increased damage if your ally also selects this perk. The reason why this is one of the best perks to use with Morty in Multiverses is because that hammer, although it's great and it's the best knockback ability that Morty has, it can miss, and your enemy can dodge out in time because it's the finish of a combo, and it takes just a slight little bit of time in order to get that off at the end of that combo. So when this happens, you want to make sure that you're sustaining enough damage to your enemies, and when you're using the Painted Target, your team deals 5% increased damage when enemies in hit stun. This is when you're at the starting of that combo there. So that 5% increased damage is going to reward you for hitting the first part of that combo, even if you don't manage to swing your hammer. That is the reason why Painted Target is one of the best perks to use in this section here. Now, Morty does use a lot of projectiles, but these projectiles from that gun that he uses are more of a light attack, really doesn't have much of a knockback, but you can consider Deadshot if you're using that gun quite often. Although it has no knockback, it can have a damage effect, and that 5% increased damage is going to help you even though it's a light attack and doesn't have a lot of knockback. Another one that I like to consider in this section here is the Up and a Sleigh. This because Morty uses a sponge, and I think it's called a plumbus. Let's go into it here. If we go down, you can see it's called a plumbus. Plumbus time, Morty begins running with his plumbus over the ground, hitting enemies moving freely. So he's able to move freely with the sponge, and when you run into your enemies, it will send them flying upwards. But although this is a great move, if an enemy counter strikes this and manages to attack you before you manage to hit them with the plumbus, there is a slight moment where they can strike you before you hit them. But if you manage to strike them, absolutely great. If they've got high damage numbers, it can send your enemies flying upwards. So that's the reason why the Up and a Sleigh is another one to consider in this section here. Don't forget to let me know what perks you're using with your Morty in Multiverses. Now let's get into the defense section. There are a few things to consider here with your Morty build when you're using these defense perks. Now I wouldn't say that defense perks are the best to use with Morty in this section here, and I have expressed my feelings towards the defense perks in previous videos. Don't forget to check those out in the Anthony Allen YouTube channel Multiversus playlist. But with that said, here are the perks that I would select in this section here. There is the absorb and go. So let's say you're up against a Tom and Jerry that's using his rocket against you, or you're up against a Bugs Bunny who's using his rocket. This is going to be where this is going to be helpful, because there are some projectiles that will knock you back. For example, that rocket from Bugs Bunny or that rocket from Tom and Jerry, or maybe the rocket punch gloves from Garnet. This is also going to give you a knockback. When you're knocked back by these attacks here, you will get 7% ability cooldown, 15% refund ability cooldown if your ally also selects his perk. So this will help you recover some cooldown time, so you're able to then think about how you can use your special moves, maybe to get out of a situation, maybe to use your portal in the air to get back to the arena if you've used your portal too often. Now, with that said, the back-to-back can also be one that you can use. There are some abilities that if you use them correctly, you will be next to your ally or back on the platform where you can get close to your ally. This can help you, and the back-to-back can reduce the damage when you're next to your ally when using these abilities. Now that we've gone over the defense section, let's get into utility. Now, as I've just mentioned, the defense section is one to be inspired, but the utility is going to be really helpful for you. You don't really need to focus on too many jumping utilities, because the fact that you have so much mobility special moves with Morty, you won't really need to get up into the air, and he also has an autopilot spaceship that you can jump on in order to get high. So with that said, CoffeeZilla is going to be one of the best perks to use with Morty in this section here. So you can use your abilities more often. You will have that 10% reduced ability cooldown duration, 15% reduced cooldown duration if your ally also selects his perk. It's also a lower level perk, so your ally is most likely going to select this perk if they have it available as their only perk when they're using selected characters. So with that in mind, CoffeeZilla is definitely going to be one of the best ones to use. Now, as I've just mentioned, mobility isn't really something that Morty suffers from, but there are a few perks that you can consider with mobility. For example, gravity manipulation. If you're up high into the air, maybe you're on your spaceship, you need to get down very quickly because someone's going to counter you, maybe with Bugs Bunny's bat, then you need gravity manipulation to dip under those attacks. This is where gravity manipulation is going to come in handy, so you can get back down to the platform, or you can use an ability from a lower position. With that said, fancy footwork could also be another one. Maybe you're in a lower position, maybe you're up high, and you need to get away from an enemy that's about to attack you. Your dodge distance can be increased when you're using fancy footwork, which is the reason why that is also another one that you consider in this section here. Now that we've gone over the lower level perks, let's talk about that signature perk with Morty. Now we have 3 available. We have that extra Flea juice, and what this does is Morty's Plumbus leaves the floor extra squeaky clean. There is a Plumbus move that you can use, and I've just mentioned earlier on in the video, and when you use his Plumbus, what it does is it allows you to move and knock your enemies. If your enemies have a high damage number, they will be knocked upwards most likely, but it is a sort of attack which can leave you open to be countered, as when you're heading towards the enemy, if the enemy is at range, they can attack you. Now there is also the "oh, that's still a grenade." The explosion radius of Morty's grenade is increased based on the cook duration. Grenades thrown by Morty's allies also have a maximum explosion radius. Now at this current moment in time, if we go into the moveset, you can see that there is a passive ability when your allies can throw the grenade and they will receive grey health, and when they receive that grey health, the next attack with the grenade will throw the grenade in that direction. So with that in mind, this could be a great perk to use with this in mind, as you will have more explosions that are effective with your grenades, but your grenades can be hit off the arena, so keep in mind that your enemies can also knock away your grenade. There is also the "I'm more than just a hammer." When Morty summons Hammer Morty, Morty spins in a circle, hitting around himself multiple times. I think this is the best perk to use in this section here. The runner-up could be the "oh, that's still a grenade." Let me know what you're using in your perks, but I would say "I'm more than just a hammer" is absolutely great with the perks that we've selected as lower level perks here. With that said, let's get into a match and let's show you how this is done.
You know how long I've been waiting for this?
So for this match, we're going to use that Painted target for that 5% increased damage when hitting enemies that are in hit stun, so that if we miss our hammer, we're still getting that 5%. We're going to use that percussive punch power to knock them back with our hammer, and we're going to use that I'm more than just a hammer to have that hammer spin. Then we're going to use Coffeezilla so we can use more of our abilities during the match. Let's jump in.
I approve of this choice.
Stay with me.
Let's get him. So we focused on our main combo for this one, so that hammer is going to be the most important combo that we're going to use. But of course, you can use your special moves as well. That extra damage, and also for mobility. Just shot Tom and Jerry's trap away. Kudos for those of you that recognise that. There's those damage numbers building up fairly quickly now.
Damn it.
Let's use the plumbers to get rid of Jerry. Not working. There we go. Still working for the knockback of these players anyway. Also applying weaken to the enemies. Using that mobility very, very well right there.
By the might of Olympus!
Your buns are getting...
It's Tomba's time. There we go. Without the up and a sleigh, still knocking back those players.
I'm back, and things will not be the same way again.
There's our spin.
Don't bail me now.
My teammates get back in. We're using Wonder Woman's tank ability, so let's weaken them with the plumbers. Get away from that Wonder Woman. Hit away that trap. Plant this back out. Ooh, that Tom's really smart with that move right there. Saw that coming.
You're through.
What? I don't think so.
Get ready to eat my sword.
Come on, Hammer. Ooh, really?
Okay, I'm okay.
Super Hammer, baby. Let's do it.
You're the winner!
Even without the up and a sleigh, we're using that hammer for that horizontal knockback. Absolutely beautiful. Just knock him back with that hammer. Let's go.
That's one heck of a story.
Continue.
Percussive punch power for the win. Let's see if they rematch. Looks like Dark Ren's thinking about it. He's only got a little bit of time left to decide. He's decided not to go for the rematch. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the ones that I think are the best perks to use with in Multiversus for Morty. I'm just going to toast this player back just here. Looks like he wanted to toast, but he didn't want to go again. You can see that we've been using that horizontal knockback. We've been using that spin with that hammer. And then we're using that Coffeezilla so we can use our other abilities. Let me know what you're using with your Morty in Multiversus. What perks are you using? How are you playing? With that said, thank you for watching. Click on that content that you should see on screen right now. And remember, you are awesome. Thank you for watching.